So, Poison Ivy is a deeply complex character with very unique emotional highlights, as well as an extensive criminal background. And while Ivy is mostly a bad girl, every now and then she works for the side of the angels, but only when it suits her. One of the best examples of this, by the way, has got to be Silent Screams, a short story by Owl Going Back and Matt Merhoff, which features Ivy in the role of a savior, where she goes against an ancient evil, which is more dangerous than any Gotham criminal or anything Ivy had faced before. The story begins with narration by Poison Ivy, who is seen walking at night next to countless missing children flyers. Ivy reveals that she has been hearing the screams and the pain of nature, who echoes all the pain of the parents who lost their children to something they cannot explain. As Ivy walks the streets, she eventually reaches a graveyard where she encounters a man, a father of one of the missing children, who is grieving the loss of his daughter. And as the man weeps in front of the grave, Ivy tells the man that the monster who had been taking the children is named Nahima, and that the monster is the last of the Lilith, queen of the succubi, and a demon vampire of Babylon. Ivy also explains that Nahima sucked the life of his daughter and all the other missing children, as well as everything that crosses its path, including plants. The grieving man asks Ivy if she's going to kill the creature, to which she simply replies yes. The father then asks if Ivy's doing this for the children, to which she responds no, and that she doesn't care about the children. Ivy then continues walking towards the dark cabin in the middle of the woods, confessing to us that Harley wanted to fight by her side, though Ivy refused, as Ivy was the only one who could feel the pain and the suffering caused by the monster. Ivy also explains that it wasn't just the children who fell prey to Nahima, but also most of the parents, grandparents, and even the pets and livestock, until there was nothing left to feed upon, and that's when the monster began feeding on the forest. When all the screams began, the cries of the vines calling her name, begging for help. As Ivy unrobes and kicks the door in, screaming for Nahima to reveal herself, we see a dark insect-like creature in the shadows, a creature reminiscent of Syl from Species, or the monster from The Birch. As Ivy waits, the creature launches at her, knocks her down, and begins choking her. As Ivy struggles to breathe, the creature mocks and taunts her, laughing at the fact that she too can hear the screams and the pain from all the plants she sucks away. Ivy tries to use her plants against the monster, but soon realizes that everything dies around the creature, and so she throws the creature to the wall, which does nothing. So Ivy begins physically fighting the creature, exchanging blows, scratches, and kicks, until Nahima jumps on Ivy and begins sucking the life out of her. As Ivy begins to fade away, she brings out one of Harley's lighters and sets the creature on fire. Ivy then kicks the monster away and briefly watches it burn, before running away Baywatch style. Ivy walks off from the burning cabin, while the flames consume all the dry plants that had fallen prey to the creature. Ivy then stops and stands her ground, as the flames stop right before reaching Ivy, or any of the live plants. As the smoke and ashes dissipate, Ivy kneels down and uses her powers to regrow the forest, while saying that fire cleanses all things, even evil, which allows life to begin anew. The story ends with Ivy walking off, telling the forest to simply scream her name if it ever needs her help. Now, I know this story might not be much to you, just as some people said about the Jim Bolen Catwoman Leatherface story, but I just cannot gush enough about this creepy little tale. This little story left me wanting so much more, and quite frankly, I always hoped that any Poison Ivy ongoing series would have been similar to this. Now, I'm not really knocking what we eventually got, but I do think this other type of story would have worked much better, with all due respect. And it's funny because prior to this short story, Poison Ivy hadn't had an ongoing series, and had only a handful of specials and one-shots as well as a high-profile miniseries. And that's just the thing, this short story proves just how well Poison Ivy lends herself for an ongoing series. Because you see, characters as complex as Ivy give space for a lot of themes to be explored, and it's a shame her ongoing series didn't really delve into any of what was done here. Again, I'm not knocking what has been done. Because you see, as I said before, Poison Ivy is a deeply complex character that very few writers really understand. But one of those who do is Owl Going Back. By the way, yes, you heard me right, Owl Going Back. That's his name. Owl, aside from being an amazingly talented writer, is also one of the very few Native American comic book writers, and I think he might be one of the very best. So it's a shame we didn't really get to see him do any more. Now, as an embarrassing little extra, I love this Poison Ivy story so much back when I first read it, that I actually went ahead and sent a message to the author praising him for his amazing work. And I really do have to say that he was very nice about it. So yay. Back then, I was so impressed by the art that I also went ahead and started following the artist Matt Merhoff on all of his art accounts, expecting him to become a big star in the comic book scene, anticipating him to become a Catwoman artist or a Power Girl artist or something like that. But to my surprise, and contrary to what I was expecting, not only did he not get much work after, save for a few Lady Dead covers, but he just slowly went off the radar, posting very little every now and then. So I don't really understand what happened here. I was so sure he was gonna become big, but it just didn't happen. Though I suppose there's still time for him to get his big break. But what about you, dear viewer? Do you like seeing DC characters in eerie situations like this one? What do you think about this story? And what do you think about Owl's writing, or Matt's art? As always, thank you very much for watching, hope to see you in the next one, be safe and well, and remember that good can always imagine evil, but evil can never imagine good. So stay safe.